We begin with Chicago. Gabs Jaquez alongside Azare Stevens, Camila Cardoso, Skylar Diggins, and J.C. Sheldon. As for the Fever, Lexi Hull, Monique Billings, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and Caitlin Clark. Indiana still very much alive as Boston and Cardoso tip it up, and we are underway. Stevens inside Cardoso, going at Billings, puts it up and in.
And Cardoso saw a huge crowd in Atlanta when they played.
Clark has deflected. Boston got it back. Clark, long range. Yes! Sheldon with the answer.
Just 27% with the best time.
Boston showing that improved range. Cardoso, dump off. Stevens blocked by Timpson. Stevens got it back. Hits the reverse plus the foul. Hines Allen. Nice feed. Mitchell for two.
And there's a reason why Kelsey Mitchell is top 4, under 6 foot.
Clark pushing the tempo for Indiana. Clark fading away. Got the roll.
And she's a great screen setter. And she's been cutting with more intention through the lane.
Boston over to Harris. Harris with the finish. Williams blocked by Boston. Clark right to the right. Clark rifles a pass to Boston for two.
No, but as Skylar Diggins gets the and one.
Played 11 minutes. Hines Allen inside. Mitchell turns, scoops it in. Mitchell. Hines Allen over to Clark. Clark on the baseline, under the hoop, puts it in. Koulibaly hustling for the rebound, finds Cloud. Here's Cloud racing down the lane. Cloud off the window.
And that's what Natasha Cloud has done her entire career coasting.
Sky with the illegal screen. This is Mitchell. Nice dump ball. Hines Allen puts it in. Cardoso puts it up and in. It's way too easy for Caitlin Clark inside. Cloud the fadeaway. Her second field goal of the ball game. Mitchell on the move, toss out to Billings. Extra pass to Hull. Taylor with the layup. Gave it up to Clark. 5 on the shot clock. Clark driving, blocked by Koulibaly. Oh! Looking like Anunoby. Cloud. That was Taylor. On the drive, puts it up and in. The Rook with another play inside. Stevens right down the lane. Clark kept the pivot. Pass deflected and stolen. Cloud pass ahead. Sheldon with the finish.
And this is how the Sky have to play. Finish on the other side. And that's how Chicago's been scoring.
As Mitchell hits the J.
Do you consider that a clutch play?
Oh, Taylor is feeling it.
As Taylor
is in the tray. There's Sheldon right down the lane for two. Clark can't hit. Got her own. One-hand pass to Boston. This is Diggins for three.
Goes coaster. That's a race.
Boston, bully ball inside. Count it. Open runway. Skylar Diggins puts it in. Cardoso with the hoop. And it's
going back to the second quarter.
Nice pocket pass. Boston lays it in. Mitchell, yes! Over the head pass. Timpson the finish. Taylor wants three. Bottom. Taylor. No one home. Down the lane with the finish. Diggins reestablished herself and got the finish. Over to Taylor. Taylor going to work. The cross. Taylor put it in. Have a night. This is Mitchell. Drains the trifecta. Diggins. Clark driving. Oh, beautiful feed. Boston put it in. Clark with the ball. Here in the fourth. Diggins from the elbow. Good. Boston. Count it. And put her on the line. Toss up and it's thrown away. Indiana off to the races. Hines Allen. Cardoso. Over to Stevens. Chicago needs a bucket. Stevens right on cue. Diggins. Good. Beautiful feed. Boston can't finish. Pass ahead. Sheldon. Swat. Williams puts it in.
Called it, Candace. She's dialed in.
Clark to the right. Clark. Picks up the dribble. Inside, Boston puts it through.
And they've done that. 10 for 20, 26 points.
Cloud with the finish.
You have to contest without fouling on this possession.
Diggins fires a three. Cash! Hines Allen to work it in. Lob at the rim, off the backboard, and we are headed to overtime. Williams dumping it up against Boston, and Indiana wins the tip. Kept the dribble, fires, off the mark. Boston, it rolls in. Oh, spinning to the rim. Taylor for three. Bullseye. Clark got it back from Boston. Clark over to Boston. Mid-range, money. They shoot this 28% in the fourth quarter in overtime. Indiana with the 114-106 victory.
You want to be like Candace Parker, if you want to be like Nneka Ogwumike, if you want to be like Caitlin Clark, if you want to be like Sue Bird, we don't want little girls thinking it's actually bad to be one of those women.
Absolutely.
Because this is how you're going to be treated, good or bad, right? You want it to really be about the basketball. We're supposed to be appreciating the greatness of her ability to play the game at a really high level. We can still have these conversations, but ultimately figuring out a way to make sure that the W is moving in a positive direction and growing, fan, coach, media representative, that has to be the ultimate goal. Otherwise, anything you're doing or saying that could be hurting the game and having people want to pay attention to the W less, that's a problem.
5 flagrant fouls. That's how many times Caitlin Clark has been knocked to the floor this season. And here's the number the WNBA is praying you never do the math on. That's 17% of every flagrant foul in the entire league. One player, one target. For months, players stayed quiet. Coaches looked away. Reporters called it part of the game. Then a 5-time NBA champion stepped up to a microphone and refused to play along.
Wow. So it looks like the NBA champion that played with Kobe Bryant of Los Angeles Lakers, big-time shots made, big-time clutch shots all throughout his career. Derek Fisher has stepped up and addressed a lot of the nasty hate and some racism that it appears Caitlin Clark has been facing since she stepped into this league. The pure hate, the jealousy, all of it. He did not hesitate.
Derek Fisher didn't call it hazing. He didn't call it toughness. He pointed at something a lot of people were too scared to name. And once you hear it, you can't take it back.
The sacrifices that they knew were going to be made in order for the league to take the step forward that it needed to take to get to where they are now. I think sometimes young athletes, young people can come across as though they aren't as appreciative or grateful for those that have kind of paved the way before them. And so when you come in and not just the way you carry yourself in terms of feeling like, hey, I'm the new king now. That's how like Ant Edwards brings that energy.
Big time. And I love it, by the way.
The dream team in 92 in Barcelona, Michael Jordan was on the rise, but Magic Johnson was still kind of, trying to remind him, nah, bro, this has been my league for a while. Like, I'm not just going to hand over the baton. You're going to have to take it from me. And so some of that energy, like, I think Caitlin Clark plays the game in a way and carries herself in a way as though, like, she knows that she is the future of basketball. She doesn't necessarily say that, but she plays that way and has that type of energy. And so, yeah, I think it's been extreme on both sides of the like-dislike conversation.
Start with the part nobody can spin, the tape. Clark hasn't been bumped. She's been hammered. 5 flagrant fouls, and 4 of them from a single team, the Chicago Sky. Out of every dangerous over-the-line hit in the whole league, almost 1 in 5 has Caitlin Clark's name on it. One night, she shot 13 free throws and still got mugged on plays the refs flat out missed.
It looks like Derek Fisher went on 97.1 The Fan, and he addressed a lot of these things that Caitlin Clark has been facing and how nasty it's been, man. Let's be clear, man. This stuff has been nasty work. We've been watching it from day one. We've been watching her be targeted. We got all these carry champions and all these people going out spewing these lies, talking about she's getting special treatment. No, that's Asia Wilson, who shoots 89 free throws a game. That's Paige Beckers, who you can't breathe next to without getting a foul. That's Breanna Stewart, who shoots 18 free throws and still goes in press conferences and blasts the refs. Not Caitlin Clark. She don't get the type of treatment those people get. We got to keep it real here.
Fans saw it. They posted the slow motion clips. They begged the league to protect her. And the league? Mostly silence. A shrug. A quote about how she needs to adjust. But here's where this stops being a story about fouls and starts being a story about everyone who let it slide. Because it wasn't just rival teams, it was her own sideline. Saturday night, national TV, the Fever getting blown out by the Portland Fire, and the cameras caught the moment that lit the internet on fire. Head coach Stephanie White, finger pointed straight in Clark's face, slapping her own knee, tearing into her franchise player in front of millions. At first, Clark just looked away and drank her water. Then she snapped back, hands up, talking right over her coach. Seconds later, she was benched, pulled for a rookie, sat down for the whole country to see. And the timing could not have been worse. This was already the coldest stretch of Clark's career. 11 points a game, 29% shooting over 3 games. The doubters who'd been waiting for a crack smelled blood. They killed Caitlin Clark. One viral post read, "Barely recognizable." Add it all up, the targeting, the benching, the slump, the silence, and it looked like the whole basketball world had quietly agreed to let the most popular player in the sport sink. And that's what makes the silence so strange, because Caitlin Clark isn't just another name on a roster. She's the reason arenas that used to sit half empty are suddenly sold out. She's the reason half these games are on national TV at all. She's the engine, the golden goose.
Let's take a look at what Derek Fisher had to say.
No,
we don't live in that world.
Their experience has been like to see someone else treated differently than they feel that they have been treated. That's also mixed into even some of the WNBA players as Caitlin Clark was coming into the league. Mm-hmm. Like, hey.
And this is talking about, speaking of to the jealousy, okay? They saw her coming in, selling out arenas, getting on national TV, all of this stuff. Remember when everybody wasn't flying private yet, and Caitlin Clark had to because she's so much more popular than all these other people. They said, oh, no, it was a big problem. But then she eventually got them all put on PJs, and they still was hating. They still were jealous. They were jealous that she was the reason for a lot of it. Keep cooking, Derek.
Hey, well, we've been a part of this league like was coming into the league. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, well, we've been a part of this league for a long time and never gotten some of the benefits and things that you are experiencing.
And she walked right into it.
And that she walked right into. No, nobody is saying she isn't creating new energy, passion, support for the league, ticket sales, viewership. Like, that's clear. You can't argue the numbers even in terms of her stats.
And the league was watching opponents take run after run at its biggest meal ticket and saying nothing. You don't have to love her game to see how crazy that is. But somebody finally did say something, and it wasn't who anyone expected. Derek Fisher isn't a hot take guy. 5 NBA titles, years spent coaching in this exact league. So when he talked, the room went quiet, and he didn't tiptoe. Fisher said the hate aimed at Clark has almost nothing to do with Clark. His words, it's almost like people are trying to find reasons to dislike her, when in reality, she's literally never said any of the stuff that other people have to say.
Now, the thing when he said that is, all of the things he listed is why the WNBA should have treated her a certain way, that they have failed and dropped the ball, and everybody's been calling them out, letting it be known the WNBA fumbled Caitlin Clark. When they watched her be the most flagrantly fouled player, they did nothing. When they watched her get targeted, they did nothing. They have done everything they can to actually minimize her. So the things that he's listing are just a few of the reasons why they should have gotten behind her and provided a push that they have failed to do. She's dealing with all the hate and negativity, and the league hasn't even gotten behind her.
Sit with that for a second. A 5-time champion just told the basketball world that Caitlin Clark is being punished for things she never did. Not her words, not her attitude, just the attention she drags into every building, the cameras, the money, the resentment that follows the one player carrying a whole league on national TV. Fisher said the quiet part out loud, and he basically dared anyone inside the WNBA to call him a liar. Nobody did. So how did Clark answer all of it? The fouls, the bench, the slump, the whispers. Monday night, 4.3 seconds on the clock, tie game. Clark caught it, rose up from 31 feet, way behind the line, and drilled it. Dagger. Fever win, 78-76. No speech, no clapback. Just the loudest answer in sports, a bucket that went straight through the net. Derek Fisher says the league has been letting this happen to her. Caitlin Clark just reminded everyone exactly why they can't afford to keep doing it. So here's what I want to know. Is she really being targeted, or is this just the price of being the biggest star the game has ever seen? Tell me below. I'm reading every single one.
Cheryl Reeve has broken the internet in the Indiana Fever fan base. I'm here to tell you guys. Cheryl Reeve did a press conference yesterday about her young superstar, Olivia Miles. And I'm telling you right now, she did not hold back. Now, one of the biggest things we've been talking about, especially when I go on Jason Whitlock, is we talk about how Stephanie White somehow, some way got rid of the pick and roll. Now, I'm here to tell you, the pick and roll came back. But did it come back because the world was talking about Stephanie White getting rid of the pick and roll?
She's ruining Caitlin Clark. 4 words that are tearing WNBA fans apart right now. And they're not aimed at a rival team, not at the refs. They're aimed at the one person who's supposed to protect her own head coach, Stephanie White.
The pick and roll was one of the effective positions and one of the effective plays that worked for the Indiana Fever. That is what made Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark a double-headed monster, baby. Now, why on earth would you want to not play that play? Why would you want to just ostracize and get rid of the pick and roll? Make it make sense, because I'm not getting why she would ultimately do that. Because to me, a good coach knows greatness when they see it, but it don't seem like Stephanie White really know greatness. Now, Olivia Miles has been doing her thing. Now, Cheryl Reeve did a press conference yesterday, and in that press conference, she spoke about her young superstar. Now, she didn't throw any more names out there. She didn't say Kelsey Mitchell. She didn't say, any other stars from the team or nothing like that. She specifically talked about the way she played her player and how great her player is.
For weeks, fans have watched Clark get benched, blamed, and buried under the worst slump of her career. And now they think they've found the proof that none of it had to happen. It's sitting 600 miles north in Minnesota, and the comparison is brutal.
Great to be here with you guys today. It's incredibly glaring, the difference between an elite level coach and some run-of-the-mill hack who couldn't cut it at the collegiate level, got fired from Vanderbilt, jumps to the WNBA to ride Alyssa Thomas's coattails, jumps to the Indiana Fever to ride Caitlin Clark's coattails. The difference between a coach like Cheryl Reeve and a coach like Stephanie White, wow. Cheryl Reeve, they had a large turnover on that roster. They lost Alana Smith, they lost Bridget Carlton, they lost Natisha Heidemann, they lost Jessica Shepard. Nafisa Collier hasn't even played a single game yet this year. Yet, the Minnesota Lynx have the best record in the league. The Minnesota Lynx, led by rookie Olivia Miles. The Minnesota Lynx have Natasha Howard looking like an MVP. And Cheryl Reeve completely revamped that offense to best tailor Olivia Miles' style of play while Nafisa Collier is out.
Let's go back to the moment that lit the fuse. Saturday night. National TV, the Fever getting run off the floor by the Portland Fire, and the cameras caught Stephanie White doing something you almost never see a coach do to a franchise player. Finger pointed in Clark's face. slapping her own knee, lighting her up during a timeout in front of millions. Clark looked away, sipped her water, then fired back, hands up, talking right over her coach. Seconds later, she was benched, pulled for a rookie. And for a lot of fans, that was the last straw, because this wasn't a one-night thing. Clark is in a free fall, 11 points a game, 29% shooting over 3 games. They killed Caitlin Clark, one post screamed, barely recognizable. The most electric player the sport has ever seen suddenly looked lost out there, and that's when fans started asking the dangerous question, what if it isn't Caitlin? What if the problem is the system she's been dropped into? The offense? The role? The coach? What if Stephanie White is the one breaking her?
Then we look at the Indiana Fever. Stephanie White. We have new players on our team, but we have a nucleus that's been with each other for quite some time. Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, Lexi Hull, Michaela Timpson now, Damaris Dantas. So there is some familiarity on this team. But Stephanie White, unable to adjust, unable to adapt, she's trying to run the Connecticut Sun offense with not the Connecticut Sun roster. She's trying to turn a V12, Caitlin Clark, into an inline 4. She's trying to turn a dirt bike into a tricycle. We're not seeing pick and rolls. We're not best utilizing Aaliyah Boston's skill set being the roller. We're running ISO with Kelsey Mitchell. We're running ISO with Caitlin Clark. We're not setting her any screens. We're not setting her any off-ball screens. And defensively, switching everything. Oh, wow, we had one good game before we didn't switch everything. Wow. Color me shocked.
So people went looking around the league for an answer, and they found one almost immediately, because there's another young guard out there going through the exact same thing. The pressure, the mistakes, the brutal learning curve that hits every rookie. Her name is Olivia Miles, and her coach is Cheryl Reeve, the most respected, most feared voice in the entire WNBA. Here's what makes the comparison sting. Reeve isn't pretending her young guard is a finished product. She's not throwing her to the wolves and pointing fingers when it goes wrong. The Lynx are building a shell around Miles, holding her accountable, but backing her up, teaching her where to be, when to rotate, who to trust, how to survive the pressure. In other words, doing the job.
Cheryl Reeve came out in a press conference and heaped praise upon Olivia Miles. Said, nah, just let her play. I trust my point guard's instinct. I trust my point guard's decision making. While you have Stephanie White, who does the complete opposite. The point guard makes a turnover, she's quick to yank. The point guard gets 3 quick assists, she's quick to yank. The point guard makes 3 straight threes, she's quick to yank. While Cheryl Reeve is saying, play your game, play.
And Reeve has never been afraid to say what everyone else won't. She once took the biggest fine in WNBA history rather than stay quiet about what's broken in this league. So when fans line up Reeve's blueprint next to what's happening in Indiana, they don't need a quote. The tape does the talking. One coach is building her star up. The other looks like she's burning hers down. And here's the part that really stings for Fever fans. Stephanie White and Cheryl Reeve aren't even enemies. They've stood on the same side before. Both fined for ripping the league's officiating, both fighting the same fight. So this was never a rivalry, it was never a grudge, which somehow makes the contrast even louder, because if the gold standard for coaching a young superstar is right there to copy, why does it look like Indiana is doing the exact opposite with the most important player the sport has ever had?
Now, before Stephanie White was head coach of the Indiana Fever, she said some things like this about Caitlin Clark. The difference between the two, one actually practices what they preach. One actually, you see their words translate into actions, while the other one's words translate into crossed arms and tweaking on the sideline.
So that's the real question buried under all the noise. Forget the slump for a second, forget the benching. Is Caitlin Clark the problem, or has she simply had the wrong coach standing next to her this whole time? Because one thing is impossible to ignore. Somewhere in Minnesota, a young guard is being built into the future. And in Indiana, the biggest star in the game looks like she's being torn down. So I'll ask you straight up. Is Stephanie White ruining Caitlin Clark? Drop your answer below. I'm reading every single one.